This is the Inferno Podcast, the official podcast of UAB Athletics. Blazer fans, this is the place each week to get an inside look into UAB Athletics. This episode of the Inferno Podcast is brought to you by the Alabama Department of Public Health and Pearl River Resort. Welcome into the Inferno Podcast, episode 28. I'm your host, Landrum Roberts. It's your weekly look inside of all things UAB Blazer athletics. Each week, the episode rundown is brought to you by Legacy Credit Union, the official credit union of UAB Athletics. Coming up today on the show, Mark Ingram, UAB Athletics Director, sits in. We kind of recap the week that was and look ahead to exciting matchups coming up this week on the South Side and beyond. Our Coach's Corner segment, UAB baseball coach Casey Dunn. The Blazers off to a great start as they continue non-conference play, getting ready for their conference side of things when the American schedule cranks up. And our student athlete of the week, Colin Daniel. He's going to be sitting in, learn more about the star right-handed pitcher for Casey Dunn as Blazers continue the early part of that season. That and so much more. It's episode 28. And it's the Inferno Podcast. We're glad you're with us.
Trent Dilfer here, head football coach of the UAB Blazers. I want to tell you about my friends at Legacy Credit Union. Legacy began as University Credit Union in 1955 and remains committed to UAB faculty, students, alumni, and fans. Not only do they support the Birmingham community, but they are also proud sponsors of UAB and UAB Athletics. Visit LegacyCreditUnion.com and find out why you should become a member today.
The Inferno Podcast, Blazer fans, we've made it really easy for you. There's a lot of different ways that you can consume this podcast each and every week, and we certainly appreciate you doing that. But you're going to appreciate it because we're going to keep you up to date on everything going on within the athletics program, the Green and Gold. YouTube, it's pretty simple. At Inferno Podcast UAB, like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your family about it, your friends, your neighbors, spread it around the office. This thing is going to catch fire, literally. Appreciate you joining us there on YouTube, but also Instagram. You can find us Inferno_pod on Twitter, or the X if you prefer, at InfernoPod_UAB. On Facebook, that's kind of the OG, right? UAB Athletics. You can find it there on Facebook. And, of course, you can go to UABsports.com. We got links. We've got all different ways. There is no excuse for you to miss the Inferno Podcast.
As UAB athletes, there's nothing we like more than the roar of the crowd.
Around here, we say we win as one.
One. And to keep cheering for the green and gold.
There's one thing we need from you.
Ask your doctor about an RSV vaccine.
And help protect everyone. Our littlest Blazers and our most seasoned fans are most at risk from RSV.
Ask about your RSV vaccine today.
So we can all stay in the game.
And win as one.
Welcome back into the Inferno Podcast. Landrum Roberts along with UAB Athletics Director Mark Ingram. Mr. Ingram, how are you this week?
I'm excellent. Thank you. How you doing?
It's busy time. We've got spring. We got beautiful weather. It's time to break out the shorts in some cases, but bring along the blanket and the quarters up for the later innings.
Yeah, we've got a lot of baseball and softball happening, which is fun. We had a great weekend this past weekend, swept North Alabama, and great weather. It was windy, but, beautiful weekend. And, of course, we played Memphis in basketball. I want to thank all of our fans that came to Bartow Arena. Man, I hope you'll come back tonight when we play Florida Atlantic at 6 o'clock. It's an earlier tip time than we usually have, but it was the type of crowd that Bartow Arena is supposed to have, and it was the environment that we're supposed to have, and just couldn't be more appreciative, really, to the people that came out.
Yeah, you got senior night tonight with men's basketball, and you mentioned that versus FAU. Before the Blazers take it on the road one final time during the regular season as they take on Tulane. They're in New Orleans. But you talk about the environment inside of Bartow Arena, and 4,000 fans, the acoustics and how they hold inside of that building are incredible. But when you get 5,000, 6,000 passionate UAB fans, that is a tough place for an opponent to come in and play.
Yeah, we were just short of 8,500 for the Memphis game, which is awesome. That's the largest crowd that we've had since we played Auburn in December of 16 at home. And it shows. I mean, it makes a huge difference. The team responds to it. I think all of us appreciate it too. It just makes the event more fun, and I'd like to see that more and more. Again, we're grateful to the people that were there, and again, just hope that you'll come back. And I'm thankful to the Memphis fans that came. That's part of also what makes it a great event is you get the opposing team. They've got some people that travel down, and that's what makes it completely full the way that it was. And we only had like a few more tickets that we could have sold, and they were on the very top row of the building.
Yeah, that game on Sunday was everything that you think it should be, that this rivalry, no matter the sport, epitomizes and what we got, and it was highly entertaining. Unfortunately, Blazers falling to the Tigers in that one. Well, today's weekly update is brought to you by the Alabama Department of Public Health. To help protect all UAB fans, ask your doctor about your RSV vaccine today so we can all win as one. Conference tournament coming up, and we know what that means, especially to teams out of this league when it comes to bids and March Madness. But you have the regular season to conclude and to wrap up. And this is a Andy Kennedy basketball team. We talked about it off the air. They're fully capable any night against any opponent that they play. Yeah. The question is, do they have their best for last? And that meaning the last two games of the regular season this week, and then, of course, the conference tournament coming up in Texas.
Yeah, consistency, right? It's consistency with energy and focus and defense and, hustle plays and boxing people out and rebounds. We got out-rebounded by Memphis, and that doesn't happen much to us, and that's probably the difference in the game. And there was a couple other statistics you could point to, but that's probably the difference, and there's a lot of effort involved in that. Now, at the same time, Yaxel Lindeborg was in foul trouble, which he usually is not. I mean, for the guy that's blocking as many shots as he's blocking and getting as many rebounds as he's getting, he doesn't usually get in foul trouble, but he was, and that created a matchup problem for us. But we could beat everybody, and we certainly proved that we could have beaten Memphis the other day, though we didn't. But we could, and we proved that by leading for the majority of the game. And, I think that consistency is the key, and got to have a few guys make some shots outside, got to keep playing hard inside, and then, there's nobody that we couldn't beat.
Meanwhile, women's basketball team coach Randy Norton, the Blazers continuing as they close out their regular season, getting ready for the conference tournament, and it has been a grind on that side this season, to say the least. Yeah.
He's had some injuries that have really, and this seems to happen, unfortunately. He's had a couple of years like this, more than a couple, where he loses key players that he relies on, starters, to provide valuable minutes and scoring that just don't finish the season because of an injury, which of course they can't help, but that makes it tough. And so they'll play this coming weekend down in Fort Worth. The basketball tournament's in Fort Worth at a place called Dickey's Arena. It's funny, they don't have a tenant. It's this gorgeous arena. It's not where TCU plays, though I think they have played there, but it's not their home arena. They've got a beautiful on-campus building, but this place is stunning. I mean, it's really, really nice for anybody that wants to go. I hope you will go. So our ladies will play this weekend. The guys will play, depending on how we finish up, either Thursday or Friday, of next week. And I'm hoping that if we can finish in the top four, we get a double bye on the men's side. And this is the last year we're going to go to Fort Worth. So Birmingham, by the way, has put in a bid to host.
Hey.
Yeah, you never know. And so I think what's to our advantage, we haven't discussed it in the league yet, but what's to our advantage is that we put a bid in for both the men's and the women's tournament. I think people prefer that. There's some cities that put in to host just the men's tournament. And I think the challenge there is, what do you do with your band? And, you got your cheer and your dance team. What are all these people doing? You can't be in two places at once, but if you're in one city and the event is happening at the same time, they can go to both those things. And, people like me are not important, but there are other sort of administrators that are there with the teams that would like to go, if they could, and would go to both. So I think having it in the same city, there's a lot of advantages to that. I don't know if Birmingham will get it or not, but I think we got a decent chance.
And who wants to break up the pep band, right?
Nobody wants to break up the pep band. Come on.
That's a tight-knit group.
Yeah, well, like I said, you just can't have them in the same place at the same time. And
Those are some things, though, honestly, I never thought about.
And it's a long time. It's like 10 days.
Yeah.
So you're gone for a long period of time and sending them to 2 different cities. I mean, but there's an expense to that, and there's just a lot more to it. Than
Your busiest time of year this year?
Yeah, this is
time?
probably the busiest time when both basketball teams are still playing. Baseball and softball start.
Everybody's got a weekend tournament.
We've got golf is going on, men's and women's golf. We have men's and women's tennis happening. We just hosted the conference indoor track meet over at the Crossplex. All this is at the same time. You have a similar thing when basketball season starts in the fall, but it's worse right now. There's like 6 weeks of something, if not more than one something every day.
You see why baseball and softball have so many uniforms. They play so many games.
They play a lot of games. You got to have a lot of
in different
unis, man.
settings. Weather could always be different, especially
You never
this time
know.
of year.
Got to have long sleeves.
You got to look good. You look good, you play good.
Feel good, look good, play good.
I mentioned men's basketball, or women's tennis having a nice season.
Yeah, they really are. They won the other day. They beat Georgia State last week on Senior Day, which was nice. Played out at the Hoover Met, which is a great facility, and had a really good crowd out there. Mark Chia has been with us for a long time, our head coach, and he's a great guy. His wife, Jenna, works on campus at UAB, and they really treat the team. It's a real family dynamic with their team and the two of them and their staff. So, yeah, I'm proud of him. And our guys are playing pretty well, too. We've got a first-year head coach there. And so, I feel like that those teams are progressing in the right way.
Another team that's progressing in the right way, UAB men's baseball. Not that there's another baseball, but UAB baseball.
Yeah, we've beaten North and South Alabama. We got both ends of the state covered. And which is great. Swept them both. I don't think that we've ever you have to ask Casey this when he gets here. I don't think we've ever swept South Alabama. And I don't know if that's right or not. But
I bet there's a lot of programs that could say they have not swept at South Alabama.
Yeah, if you don't know any better, then it's true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and so that's a big deal. And he's doing a terrific job, and he's continues to recruit really well. And, his time in our state, being at Sanford and at Spain Park, and then just growing up in Vestavia, he's got just a ton of relationships around town and around the state, which helps for recruiting, obviously, and it's starting to really show itself on the field.
Mark, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
Always
it.
Good to see you.
Yeah, speaking of Coach Casey Dunn, he's going to join us next as the Inferno podcast continues. Welcome back into the Inferno podcast, Coach's Corner, presented by Pepsi and Viva Health. UAB baseball coach Casey Dunn. Coach, welcome back into the Inferno. How are you?
Doing great, man. Good morning to you.
Last time we talked to you, you had the dust off of the gloves. You had everybody participating, inter-squad games, and getting ready for the season. But now that the season has officially started, I know it's a long one, but it's a pretty good start.
You talk about, in our world, the season's in several different phases, and the first phase is that non-conference piece before we get into conference play. And, we're a little over halfway through that at this point, and so far it's been good, man. A couple setbacks that obviously are disappointing, but a lot of good days, and guys have played well. So definitely been an encouraging start.
That first weekend where you went up on the East Coast and you knew it was going to be cold and weather was going to play a factor. You open up with Maryland. You got some big-name programs that are in there. But being that first weekend and being baseball, how do you evaluate that?
I think the biggest thing is just, how you feel your guys are prepared, how you handle different situations, how you adjust to the game. So much about baseball is being able to make adjustments pitch to pitch, inning to inning, and just seeing if, were we prepared for that, and there's a big learning curve, from day one to, the 56th game. You learn a lot, and there's a lot of adjustments that go in throughout the season. And, it's individual. Baseball is such an individualistic sport. It's definitely the most individualistic of the team sports, I feel like. So, guys have to be able to do that individually, and, our job as coaches try to help them make those adjustments.
How are you compartmentalizing the game? Different sports, I hear different coaches and their philosophies, whether it's a basketball coach, let's win this 4 minutes. It's a football coach. Some say it's a one-game week, but Also, it's play to play. It's quarter to quarter. Win this 15 minutes. How do you do that?
I mean, I think, everybody talks about pitch to pitch because you never know which pitch is going to dictate the game.
But is it really pitch to pitch?
Oh, man, no doubt, man. Think about it. I know in the Little League you say, oh, that one play didn't change the game. Oh, you didn't lose that game, Landrum. Yeah, you kicked the ball at a big situation.
See, that was always the talk I needed.
Yeah, but
Landrum where he doesn't want to hurt himself.
Yeah, it's everybody say, well, that one play didn't matter. No, the reality is that one play mattered. And so it truly is pitch to pitch. We talk about trying to get the first blow and then how are we going to respond. Because we play good people. There's not a lot of wins on the schedule that you can just look at and say, oh man, we got that one. And we've had 2 of those, and those are the 2. There were 2 days on the schedule that. When I look at, all right, man, we'd have to screw these 2 up, but those are past us now. So really, it's just about knowing that if we get off to a good start, somebody's going to respond, and then how do we counterpunch? How do we answer? And our guys have done a really good job. We haven't given up a ton of runs. We've pitched really well thus far, but when we have, our guys have responded well to try to answer. When another team scores.
Those 2 weekend wins, the series and the sweeps that you had, though, historic. And I know the first time, at least since 2015, that baseball has seen that kind of success. But a South Alabama baseball program that is well thought of here in the state, and people know that pay attention, but also a UNA baseball program that can hold their own. Those 2 weekend series wins over teams in the state that you're very familiar with, is that any kind of watermark for your program?
I mean, I think the South weekend was big for us in a lot of ways. That's a really good program. Historically they've had more big leaguers than Alabama and Auburn have had come out of there. It is I think everybody talks about football, school basketball. South's a baseball school. That's what they've been known for. That's where they invest their funds. If you see their facilities, so. When we got to UAB, obviously we're behind the ball in a lot of ways, and we've still got a lot of catching up to do. But when you get a chance to play in-state people that historically have been ahead of you in the pecking order, so to speak, it is an opportunity, man. I think it's something as a staff we judge ourselves, players judge themselves, and to be able to win that series and do it pretty much convincingly under control for 3 days. I think definitely says something about the progress that we're making within the program.
You have other state schools that you participate with when you can in an annual event, and some big ones that take place not only on their campus but especially here in Birmingham at regions. You got Auburn that comes into town. You also have Alabama Crimson Tide. How much does that help your team when it comes to maybe conference play? And I know that baseball, you got a lot of good teams and a lot of different teams, or a lot of good players on a lot of different teams. So maybe by whether you play in this conference or that conference, there's a lot of good baseball is what I'm saying. But how much does that help you?
Well, I think it's necessary. When you look at the top of our league, you take East Carolina, for example. East Carolina, they've hosted regionals, super regionals. They've had a better program than Alabama and Auburn has for a while now. So, if we're going to compete at the top of our league, we have to be able to compete against those schools in the SEC as well. And, we're fortunate to be where we are geographically that, in baseball, you need games. Teams need road games for RPI reasons. And, we're able to get, those teams here. I think this year we have 5 SEC games on the schedule, which is good for us. It's a good exposure piece. Our guys like playing them because, again, you want to play good people. And we're fortunate to be in the middle of a lot of good teams, a lot of good baseball. You even take that further to Troy State that, is in our state. They're top 20 in the country right now. Jacksonville State's going to be at the top of their league. Sanford will be at the top of their league. So there's a lot of good baseball in our area that we get to compete against. And for us to be able to compete at the top of our league, which is the ultimate goal. That's what we're chasing. We've got to be able to play toe-to-toe with an Auburn and Mississippi State and Alabama because we're going to have to be able to play toe-to-toe with East Carolina and Tulane and Rice and Wichita State and South Florida and all the other teams that are going to be really good within our league.
But at this point in the season, when you look at through just a small sample size, whether it's the first 13, 15 games, how much can you tell about your team before you get into those type of games?
Yeah, I think until you get into the middle of the season when it gets long, it's tough to know what you really have. Just because baseball is a long season, man. People talk about it, and even as a coach that loves it, man, it's long, man. It gets long, and 4 days a week you're competing, and working the other days to prepare for those 4. So it's a long season, but The good thing early is I think our guys have shown the ability to win a close game, which is important. There's been a couple games that, quite honestly, last year we don't win. We find a way to screw it up. And our guys this year have been able to make the big pitch, make the big play, get the big hit, to be able to find a way to win. And I think that's the biggest thing with turning anything around is having guys that are used to winning. I think we did a good job on a recruiting piece of bringing guys that, whether it was high school, junior college, whatever it was, that have come out of programs that were successful. And we've got a group of guys that believes in themselves, they believe in their teammates, and hopefully as we continue this season, you'll see that.
Got a big one coming up this weekend where you travel to the state of South Carolina once again, and some notable teams that are on that schedule, and just be another great test for your team.
Now, it's you got to get on the road early before conference. I believe that, and this will be our second little multi-team event, which is different. It poses some challenges, especially from a scouting standpoint and just preparation standpoint. But it's good. We get to play Michigan State twice. I think is 9-10-1, something like that. They've got off to a good start. We'll play them twice, then Winthrop and Cornell, I believe it is, once each. But get to play in a pro venue, a great ballpark up there. It's an awesome city. People haven't been to Greenville. They've done an awesome job along the river downtown, and we'll get to stay right there so the guys can walk and walk to the ballpark, walk to eat, whatever. Families that travel will be able to do the same thing. Once you get to the hotel, you really don't have to get in your car. So it's a good trip. We made it in my previous school. We played up there a bunch, so familiar with that area and the facility, and looking forward to taking our guys up there and, like I said, hopefully make a great weekend of it.
Well, it's going to take great pitching. We know that, not only this weekend, but all season long. One of your star pitchers. We're going to join him next, our Student Athlete of the Week segment, as the Inferno podcast continues. Welcome back into the Inferno podcast. Landrum Roberts, along with our Student Athlete of the Week, it's UAB pitcher Colin Daniel, and he joins us here on the Inferno. Colin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You had a great outing this past weekend.
I appreciate it.
Made the headlines at UABsports.com. Outstanding effort versus UNA. Let's talk about the season. Some of the stuff will be a recap, but a different point of view from you, because we talked to Coach Dunn. First part of the season, things that you saw as maybe challenges that your team and your teammates had to meet this season, basis what was expected. What would you say? How has that gone on some of the deficiencies coming into the season, some of the strengths of this team through what you've seen?
I'd just say that we had some new guys come in that, it takes a little bit to get to know each other, but this group of guys that we got, they like baseball. They like to have fun at the field. It's a joke-around group, but when it comes down to it, we're winning ball games.
Are you a joke-around type of guy?
Yeah, kind of, in the dugout.
You seem like you don't get too crazy.
No, I don't. I'm a pretty simple guy.
Yeah, but you got the pitcher's beard working for you.
I do.
Is that a thing now with you guys?
Sir?
Is that a thing with you guys now? Is that the thing for the season?
I mean,
are we
if
doing
you
the
can grow a
mullets
beard,
again? When are we doing it? I just shaved mine. I just got back, and I shaved mine just to be on this podcast, but you cannot say the same.
I don't know if I'll ever go back.
No, it looks good. It looks good. Is it like a tick with you in between pitches?
Oh, it is. It's more of a frustration tick more than anything, but when bad pitch, I'm probably going to rub it a couple times.
Okay, well, you save on a sports psychologist and having to deal with him and keeping him on retainer, then you just go to the coping mechanisms that work. Pitcher Colin Daniel joining us here on the Inferno. Let's go back to this past weekend, though. You were in command, liked your stuff. What are you seeing here early in the season?
I mean, I wouldn't say I've pitched my best game. Coach Dunn will tell you that. I walk a couple guys, but at the end of the day, when you're getting zeros, helping your team win, that's what means the most to me. Is if I give my team a chance to win, I've done my job that day.
I always preface this like everybody who comes on this podcast is going to lie. I don't mean that at all. I know what Coach Dunn just told me on how he looks at a game, or maybe the early part of a game, pitch to pitch. I'm assuming now that I'm going to ask the question, you're going to say the same thing. But what is your mindset when you're going up there? Is it different for different hitters?
I mean, I try to attack every hitter, just faceless opponent, just right-handed, left-handed. Don't matter what your batting average is.
Are you trying to strike out a pitcher or a batter on every single pitch situationally?
I'm not. I'm trying to force the ball in
pitch
the
to
zone.
Contact.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, and that was going to be because you'll get different responses from different pitchers. It's want to blow this one by. This guy, another guy, you got a certain situation. It's a 2-2. There's nowhere to put him, or a 3-2. You're trying to put him in there and give him something.
I need to get that guy just to get him off the base pass. If I've got him 2 strikes, I try to put him away.
Corner High School, Corner, Alabama, outstanding athletics program. What drew you to UAB?
Coach Dunn. Coach Dunn was the first person to give me an opportunity at a high school. Talked to some other schools, but Coach Dunn was the only one that gave me an opportunity over when he was at Sanford, and then when he made the switch over here, I decided to follow him.
He had a great career as a player, as a catcher, but certainly knows the game and knows it from a pitcher standpoint as well. How is that dynamic with you working with him and his philosophy on certain pitches, placement, and when to call them?
I mean, he gives us a hard time. I mean, but I know when I do when I make a mistake, just like hitting somebody.
What is an idea? Give us an example of him giving you a hard time.
When you hit somebody with 2 strikes, you should go your whole life without doing that. So I can hear from up there on the mound. I can hear the clipboard from the mound, but I know I didn't. That I don't need to do that. So
no, it's a quick story on your coach. The first game, I think it was a couple of seasons ago. I had been in the park. I had parked. I drove up. I got there. It was the bottom. I don't know the inning. It was the early part of the game. And I had not been there 5 minutes, and then he got chunked. He got shown the parking lot. I thought, this is great.
I believe it.
This is great. This is the fire of your coach.
Yes, sir.
As we're here in the early part of the season, though, we have conference games that are going to be taking place. This squad, your teammates as a whole, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good about it. We want to play baseball. We like being out there. It's a joke around group, but like, when it comes down to it, we're ready to play. We think we can beat anybody. It showed in the last 2 weekends that we can go up and if we play good baseball, execute pitches, have good swings, that we can beat anybody.
What is life on the road like with a college baseball player? Because I've seen it in the basketball realm. I've seen it in the college football realm and traveling with a team. What's it like for you guys?
It's a lot of hotel hangouts and walks to Chipotle. That's about it. We sit around in the hotel. We play. We just hang out. It's a good group. We like to talk to each other in the locker room and in the hotel. It's just we hang out a lot.
All right. We're going to have our lightning round coming up. That's where you're going to answer certain questions.
Oh, boy.
No big deal. Some people are good at it. Some people aren't.
Yes, sir.
Colton Daniel, he continues the Inferno.
The if in life. It's a world of possibilities. If you go for a night out with friends. If you can keep an eye on your money along the way. If you know you have overdraft protection with no fee transfers from savings, when you get a low balance alert, it's easier to say yes to fun. If that sounds good, try Regions Life Banking.
Stay ready for the if in life. Regions Bank embrace the if in life.
Welcome back into the Inferno podcast. Landrum Roberts, along with Colin Daniel, UAB pitcher. He's our student athlete of the week. Colin, we got the Inferno lightning round. This is questions you have no idea. Don't be looking on my screen. You're going to get them. You're going to try to answer them the best you can. We have judges that will calibrate, and they will tabulate, and we will put it into the database that judges you versus your colleagues at UAB. Student athlete. No, not really. I'm not doing that. We'll see how you do. All right, strike it up. Question number 1. There are 6 teams with more than 8 World Series titles. Who are they? 6 teams have won.
Give me the Yankees.
That's 1.
Red Sox.
That's 2.
Dodgers.
That's 3, unfortunately.
St. Louis.
It's 4.
The Giants.
That's 5. You got one more, Colin.
The Royals.
Oh.
They were hot for a little bit, but the Braves.
I wish that was the case, my friend.
God, what state?
Boston.
I said the Red Sox.
You say Red Sox?
I did say the Red Sox.
Did you say the A's?
I did not say the A's.
That's who it was.
I wouldn't have got that one.
That was really good, though. Okay, here we go. In 2019, World Series, The away team won every game, marking the only time that this has ever happened in North American sports history. Who were the teams? In the 2019 World Series, the away team won every game.
Away team won every game. I'm trying to think of who was in the World Series in 2019. Was that Astros Dodgers? No. I'm not sure who was in the team.
Maybe one of those teams.
The Dodgers?
The other one.
Oh, it was Astros Red Sox, wasn't it? No? I'm not sure on that one.
It's World Series, so it can't be Astros Red Sox.
No, it can't.
It's a team from the National League. Come on, Colin.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm not sure. I'm giving up.
Nationals.
Oh,
no, that was the one you forget about.
Yeah.
Nationals. They were sneaky that year.
They were.
Okay. In 2016, which team broke the longest World Series drought in Major League Baseball history and went on to win?
The Chicago Cubs.
That is correct. Who has the most Cy Young awards of all time?
Most Cy Young awards.
He's a bit of a hothead as a pitcher.
Nolan Ryan.
Another bit of a hothead, but you're on the same track.
Randy Johnson.
No.
Those are pretty two good ones.
Go back to the state of Texas.
This is a tough one. I don't know.
Really good pitcher from the state of Texas.
Really good pitcher from the state of Texas.
Not named Nolan Ryan.
That's the one that's jumping out to me. I'm having
Roger Clemens. I know you feel bad about that one. Who has the most MVP awards of all time?
Barry Bonds.
Yes, that is correct.
He's pretty good.
More about you. You like to cook or get takeout?
Takeout.
Who is your favorite professional sports team? I had to say it like that because I've been saying pro team and everybody's been thinking I've been asking about their favorite protein. So while we're at it, steak, is that yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Professional sports team.
The Houston Astros.
Really?
It sounds bad.
Bunch of cheaters.
2019.
Bunch of cheaters.
I mean, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, I guess.
Well, okay. All right. Bring the garbage cans out to the ball field this year. I might start that just in honor of you. Most hated chore.
Hated chore. Got to be the dishes.
That is the number one answer by everyone. Favorite vacation spot?
Oh, I'm not a beach guy. Actually, over the last 2 summers, I've been going off and watching major league teams at their stadium. Last year, I went to PNC in Pittsburgh, and then watched the Guardians play in Cleveland. So
We'll allow that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, and I've been to Fenway, so that's if you hadn't been there, you need to go there.
No, I haven't been there either.
You need to go there.
Baseball. What's the hardest pitch to hit?
Got to be a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
100 an hour. Letter high.
Oh yeah, I'm not hitting it for sure.
What about favorite sport to go and watch in person? Is it baseball?
Yeah, it's
other than baseball.
Yeah.
You got another one? You like to play golf?
I do like to play golf. I actually I went to the Tour Championships this summer, so
Really?
watched Scotty in person, so it's pretty awesome.
All right, we got one more question for you. Favorite athlete? If you could go back in time, select one athlete, who would that be?
Oh, it's got to be LeBron or David Ortiz. I was a big David Ortiz guy growing up, so
Okay.
because I know you don't pick the PO life, it picks you. So
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be the guy that hit home runs, but I wasn't. Those weren't the cards I was dealt.
Well, better answer would have been you could have gone back and watched Casey Dunn in high school, in college. A guy could rake. He was clutch.
I believe it.
He was clutch. Colin, we appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Colin Daniel. He is a pitcher for the UAB Blazers. You can follow him in the Blazers all season long, UABsports.com. More to come. It's the Inferno Podcast. Well, that's going to do it. Episode 28 of the Inferno podcast. We appreciate all of our guests for dropping by. UAB Athletics Director Mark Ingram, recapping the week that was, taking a look at some exciting events happening this week and beyond there on the South Side. Also, UAB baseball coach Casey Dunn joining us, recapping the early part of the non-conference slate. Blazers another big weekend this weekend in South Carolina as we inch closer to the American Baseball Conference schedule. And one of his pitchers, our student athlete of the week, Colin Daniel, for sitting in on the show, learning more about Colin, the junior right-hander for the Blazers. All of our information, as always, can be found at UABsports.com. And, of course, there's a multitude of different ways that you can subscribe. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you can always remember to find us at Inferno Podcast UAB. Well, for all of us here at UAB Athletics, for the producer, Molly Robinson, puts this show together each and every week. I'm Landrum Roberts. Go Blazers. Thanks for joining us here in the Inferno. This is the Inferno Podcast, the official podcast of UAB Athletics. Blazer fans, this is the place each week to get an inside look into UAB Athletics. This episode of the Inferno Podcast is brought to you by the Alabama Department of Public Health and Pearl River Resort.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.